lane map. So that's something that we could maybe expect for game number 2.
Yeah, I have my notes from last week. I was looking at what was the best thing that I took away from Leftovers and their macro game. That is where I felt like they were exceeding as a team and really working together. So yes, a 3-lane map is where I want to see them take the series going into game number 2. In fact, we're ready for the second battlegrounds. Let's go ahead and check it out and see where exactly we are going to. It's gonna be Infernal Shrines, Trick Esport with the pick, as Leftovers will elect to take the first pick.
And this is also the third time now that they picked Infernal Shrines. It's really a go-to for Trick Esports. They have so far 1 win and 1 loss on the map, but every single time when they had to go for a pick, they went to Infernal. So it's really one of those go-to maps for Trick Esports that they say, hey, we're strong in Infernal, we want to play the map. This is something that caters towards our style, fighting over the single objective on the map. So something to definitely watch out for, especially with how Blaze had an impact on exactly this type of fight on the last game. I could definitely see Alex trying to get Blaze for himself again for the solo lane at the start, and then just simply having him as a tool on the shrine for the late-on fights.
Blaze can definitely double soak on this battleground if you need to when the first shrine comes up and you put 4 up there just to make sure to pull away resources from your opponent, allowing Blaze to rotate between the middle and the bottom lane. Now, he won't kill a tower or a fort by himself if you were to just push into it. He doesn't really provide that damage, but clearing a wave and disappearing is something that he pulls off really well. So, yeah, Blaze could definitely come up in the draft, and in fact, I'm actually starting to kind of expect it. I'm actually kind of worried that we might lose the roaming Zool from Alex Aproji if he enjoys Blaze more.
I'm absolutely okay if we lose the roaming Zool as long as we get the roaming Blaze. I'm okay with that too. But yeah, so we are going straight into the draft again. Once more, we have to look out for Genji and Abathar. Abathar in Europe with a huge ban rate. He's actually banned a lot more now in North America as well, but North America does not have the priority on him that they say they ban him out as the first ban. They do, but not with the same frequency that Korea and Europe do. But on a second ban, Abathar appears a lot on North America. So they still respect him, they just don't see him first pick or first ban worthy, whereas in Europe that style still continues, as we can see here.
Caldor, am I weird? You said roaming Blaze, and immediately my brain thought forest fires, and then I immediately jumped to Smokey and the Bear. Like, that's...
Okay,
that's what my brain went.
The first jump I'm okay with. The second one is just like, you're weird.
But I feel like
it's the Care Bear thing again.
It's not a Care Bear thing. Smokey the Bear, well, he does care about the world.
First of all, he cares, and second of all, he's a bear, so it works twice.
Yeah, but immediately you said that, and I was like, I should say this joke. And I'm like, no, I shouldn't say this joke. Maybe I could say this joke. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to tell him. I'm going to tell him.
If there's one person that can get away with this particular one, it's you. So
we in there. We in there. All right, Greymane picked up for Leftovers. Trick Esport moves into the Hanzo and the Malfurion. Crosby back on his boy with the bow. He is quite deadly there. And now this time, they have Malfurion, which is great here on Infernal Shrines, helping clear out the minions. But the roots make it very difficult for you to dodge on top of that Hanzo, especially around the shrine area. It's very similar to Diablo. You just can't get past that wall with Malfurion there.
I also need to give a bit of perspective to Malfurion in general. We have been talking about him making a big jump this weekend in particular in meta. And he was played on the last map. And for both of these teams, we had in the previous map Leftovers play Malfurion, now we have Trick drafting him. For both of these teams, it's the first time that they actually pick Malfurion. So they haven't really looked at the hero, but as we said, Malfurion is rising in priority more and more right now. Not only in Europe, but globally, as is Uther. So the two supports that after the first weekend established themselves as having high utility and good win rates are now starting to make a way bigger impact on the drafts than, let's say, for example, Rhaegar, who was picked in nearly 100%, or picked or banned in nearly 100% of the games last weekend, but had a very, very small win ratio, around 38%.
I mean, I call it the Zelia effect. The moment that Zelia got the Malfurion Twilight Dream last week on the 5v3 and they won it, I feel like Malfurion has caught the eye of many teams since then. And I'm going with that story. I don't care if it's true or not. Dahaka banned out, Malthuel followed up afterwards, indicating we're getting a second tank here from Leftovers, but now Trick Esport can go into double tank as well, and they really do appreciate running double tank.
Who needs stats if you have a nice story?
Exactly. A nice story, always logical, it makes sense, people agree with it, they smile and they're happy. That's all you gotta do, smile and be happy.
I think you just described American politics, but we're not going to dive in there.
We're not going into politics. I draw the line on politics on this show. That's not happening.
He gets enough of that already in the car ride to the studio.
That is a bad and deadly road that I am not okay with. I'm feeling a little under weather today, and I don't want to deal with you in politics, okay?
He has his reason.
That's a speed bump. We're not going down.
I love the reaction. I think I was never able to trigger you that hard. So now I know how to do it. It's not insulting Murky. It's actually starting a politics discussion with
Yeah,
him.
man. Oh, jeez. Well, Nubrak and Gul'dan in the mix here for Tricked Esport. And Nubrak, you were talking about yesterday. He's been quite successful for a lot of teams.
Yeah, it's really interesting because he was really successful for the first weekend in particular, but right now when we're looking at the second weekend, he's starting to dip a little bit since more and more teams are now trying to utilize him, and some just don't show that level of aggression that is really needed to make him look good. But he's still doing pretty well. He has a 55% win ratio. He has seen 11 games in Europe, talking about the European stats in particular. So that's still pretty solid. 55 doesn't sound like much, but if you compare it to all the tanks out there, he's still one of the best, if not the best tank that we currently have. And of course he caters to a certain playstyle where you want to be more aggressive. And that is what we have seen so far from Tricked a lot. I also want to highlight that they could still pick Blaze, because there we go, because we're still waiting for Alex to take his hero.
The insta-pick. And it's interesting, if you were to look at it on paper right away, you're like, all right, Leo versus Blaze, Leo takes away health, Blaze has a big health bar, Leo's going to be effective here. Blaze actually does really well against him in lane. He has a wave clear to kind of bully him out. If he misses that Drain Hope, then he's feeling great in the lane, but he also has the disengage with the Jet Propulsion, which allows for him not to get landed with that Drain Hope and do just fine there.
Exactly, he can easily move away from it, and I really liked what I like the idea that Leftovers had on our first map when they had the tough front line. I can see what the idea with the draft here is. First of all, we have the synergy, so to say, with Chromie and Greymane again. Chromie trying to poke the targets down, and Greymane then engages in and attempts to get the kill. But when I look at what Tricked has, I'm a bit afraid that this could be a slaughter. Because we've been talking very clearly about how much AoE damage and how much wave clear Blaze has. So I expect him to fulfill that role that Alex has chosen with Zul in the past, where he attempts to clear 1 or 2 lanes constantly, and that would put pressure onto Leftovers already. But what I'm even more worried about is if you think about the 5 versus 5 Shrine on fights and you look at what Tricked has. They have Gul'dan, which is one of their go-tos from the get-go. They have Malfurion, which can simply put down the roots and lock targets into place. And we have already seen the impact that Hanzo had in their own style. So with all the CC that they're currently accumulating here, Anuburak for the heavy engage, I mean, simply on my head, Anuburak jumping in, Hanzo with the old Malfurion coming in with roots, and then just everybody diving in with damage, Gul'dan dropping it from behind, having the Horrify as a potential disengage, Jet Propulsion coming in from Alex once again for an additional stun if needed, and then Combustion on the Shrine. That just scares the hell out of me. So if I look at the tools that Leftovers have to get away from it and to survive that, I'm not so sure if they really picked the right ones here. So I'm a bit afraid for them.
I'm going to jump on the side of the over here just for diversity. They have Chromie, and we're going to see a 5-man Dragon's Eye. Let's go to game number 2 as we set up for here on the Infernal Shrines Best of 5 series. Currently, Tricked Esport is up 1-0, but Leftovers are looking to tie it up.
Leftovers are indeed looking to tie it up on game number 2. They have to come out swinging here, though. They're down 1 game this series as is. Porty Boss on Leoric for the blue team. DAB on Greymane. We have Lichidney on Chromie. Lauba on Murden. And Linked on Uther.
On the right side in the red, Gul'dan will be played by Make. Grand Piquet playing Malfurion. Rimmer playing Anuburak. Crosby on the Hanzo. And Alex Afroji will play Blaze.
Yeah, Maka has been playing more and more in Gul'dan for his team. And currently, if you look at Gul'dan for Tricked, he's actually not doing too well. They have played 3 games with him up to this point, and they only won a single one of them. But you have to also, of course, put this into context and consider who they played against on the first few days. And they went up against Dignitas, which was not an easy match for them. They lost the series without taking a single map here. So definitely something to consider when we're talking about these stats.
Attacks coming in, Porty Boss takes some damage. He does land the Drain Hope, so he should be able to survive. Chromie hoping to get a few stacks there, and she will actually land a few, getting a total of 4 set up for the team. And Leftovers goes back to rotation, but they walked away a little bit on the bruise side there, as the poke from Tricked Esport was quite heavy.
Yeah, and for Leftovers, they have not won a single map yet in HGC Europe 2018. They have so far a record of 0-7, so they went up against a couple of heavy hitters, and Trick is definitely not a team to frown upon, but of course they're still waiting for that first map win here. I want to talk about Blaze again. I know we've been also highlighting him a bit on the first map, but given that he hasn't really been played too much, we have to talk about him once more. We have the Adrenaline Stim Pack. So in this case, we have the attack speed and the movement speed advantage. And that comes again to show the flexibility on one. By now, in 3 games in Europe, we have seen 3 different talents on level 1 by Alex and Moby.
And that's one of my favorites, actually. Being able to just burn down a minion wave, even getting into a fight. If Leo misses his Drain Hope, turning around and just completely fighting him. And the movement speed allows for you to do 2 things. A, disengage from a fight if you're in trouble as Blaze. And B, move in for a hard engage. If you can get into the fight after a Murden gets chunked low, for example, going straight for a Chromie and putting pressure on her, even if you don't kill her, makes it to where she's not turning around and putting damage on your teammates, which makes Gul'dan and Hanzo that much more effective. I love the level 1 pickup here.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's one of those flexible things where you can always adapt to the situation, and I love it too. So let's see if that works out for them. I also want to keep a close eye on the combo with Greymane and Uther, because we've been talking about Uther a lot. And after the previous game, Uther now sits at a win ratio above 90%. He has 8 wins and only a single loss. So Tricked has a fantastic draft. And let's find out if the strongest support so far in Europe is able to get leftovers to their first win in HGC 2018, or if Trick's draft is just a bit too strong, especially with the enormous amount of utility that Blaze can bring to these team fights, as we've seen on our previous map, Battlefield of Eternity.
I mean, while we're talking about Chromie and Greymane in the combo together, and you're talking about Uther, Pursuit of Justice getting picked up at level 4, does this kind of indicate that we might get a Divine Storm combo where you're just trying to jump on a backline and kill them? Or are we going to get the Divine Shield that's typical with the Greymane and just allow for Uther to disengage after stunning?
Well, at this point I would say Divine Shield with what they have, but first of all we see them jump on Marke very aggressively. They might even get the kill, but Grandpa is trying his best to keep him alive, but Gul'dan goes down and the first blood goes over to Leftovers, and they are not content with 1 kill. They get 2. Great play by Leftovers here, opening the map up with the back.
Definitely find a kill, but Trick Esport responded well. He pushed in the middle lane, and Hanzo's working on the bottom. So they're getting turrets and experience in exchange for the 2 members that they lost in the top lane.
Yeah, that's one of the things that worries me a bit, the experience that is lost at the bot lane. Especially since they send Chromie down very, very late for that rotation. They focus on the Shrine first, but still, getting the 2 kills, from a confidence perspective alone, that's already a win, because they got a bit of a beating on the first map, so that must feel good.
Yep, and the win is going to be pushed forward if they're able to grab this Shrine phase. They are 8 minions away from doing so. Trick has brought 5 in just to make sure to prevent Leftovers from grabbing it, but with the poke available for Chromie, they should be able to secure this. They just have to be a little careful and play it slow.
Yeah, they can play that really slow here. There's no real threat to them losing the Punisher. They get it. Tricked already has their level 7, and Alex is once again continuing with his build. So the most stable talent that we have seen in the Blaze builds is definitely on level 4 with Adhesive Petroleum, but Alex now again with the Incinerator Gauntlets, trying to get that extra AoE and wave clear. But the push through the mid lane, this is currently where the Leftovers are trying to find some value by taking down towers.
Leftovers constantly moving too, trying to prevent Chromie from getting the combo off of the Punisher jumping in. And the Punisher will be dealt with. A couple of turrets taken away, some experience lead for Leftovers, but nothing not manageable here for Trick Esport. While we continue to go back to lanes for the teams, 10 is on the way, and Leftovers have gained a slight lead heading there. What? Trick is right behind them. Make getting caught though on Gul'dan, that's gonna hurt.
Yeah, and that's 3 kills against 0. Now again, in experience, they're very close, but Leftovers have now moved from a team that was reacting the entire first map to what the opponent was doing and always scrambling for a kill and maybe 1 team fight. They're all of a sudden the team that is starting to chase, that is starting to rotate, that is starting to try and be the initiator of these fights. And that change in perspective alone and how they approach them, that's actually really cool to see.
Speaking of changing, Temporal Loop picked up for Leftovers, but at 10, Blaze has the option to move into a bunker, which can make it incredibly easy to prevent your opponent from getting value of that Temporal Loop. Do we go bunker here?
It's actually a really good question, and I don't have the answer, because I think you could go for both ults. the armor advantage that you get alone through the bunker is something that is great on the map, but at the same time, seeing how much of an effect they had with combustion, and considering what else they are running here, and engage with the Nuburak with a stun, follow up by Hanzo's ult, and then combustion being used on Blaze sounds like a fantastic idea as well. So I think Alex definitely has a lot of options here on 10.
I mean, it's a fantastic idea, but I also think your teammates living is a fantastic idea too, Kaldor.
Well, it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah,
Right?
that's very true, right? Win team fight, save teammate. Well, let's win team fight and get damage numbers up. The 4 on the top getting poked down by Trick Esport. 3 are here, only Leo to hold on. So a trade-off on forwards as Leftovers take the 4 on the bottom side. A trade-off between our two teams, which does favor Leftovers if they're able to grab the shrine that will be spawning on the bottom side, as they'll be moving in for a keep wall and a keep if they can win that Punisher.
Yeah, even just opening up the wall at this point is already great for Leftovers down here at the bot lane. They have a lead in experience now, but I like the overall reaction that Trick has, and this is something that really shows a different Trick compared to what we've seen last year in 2017. So they have very good decision making at this point. Lava with a Stormbolt attempt that unfortunately for him only hits a wall. So slightly misplaced, but yeah, that wall definitely paid dearly for it.
He should have gone Q build though, so he got more damage on that wall. Would have been much more helpful as a Muradin player.
Helper.
He's let me down. 10 has not been picked up for Blaze yet, still considering what he wants to move into. Mercenaries grabbing the top for both of our teams. Leoric and Blaze should fight on who gets supremacy in that top lane over it.
I really feel that Alex can make the decision on the fly depending on what happens. If they get a gauge upon and he sees that they need to save the team, then he can quickly go for a bunker. If on the other hand there's a good engage with a great arrow then to Hanzo, then he can always say, okay, I'm in. Jumps in with the jet propulsion, drops the combustion, and then can lead that to, especially Gul'dan, capitalizing on all of those slows and get the kills in. So he can definitely make the decision pretty quickly during the battle itself.
On the Arcane Punisher has spawned, and our team will fight over it. 5 to 6, very even, neck and neck at the moment. 13 is right around the corner for Leftovers. They're about a half a level away experience from grabbing it, so they will have to contest here on even talents against their opponent. And Trix has also got an advantage in the top lane because they have their Mercamp pushing over Leftovers. So Leftovers in a bit of a pinch here and want to win.
Yeah, Leftovers are in a spot where they would really love to clean this out quickly, and they're trying already. Going in, but Remaballer going out of the Entomb. Here's Combustion by Alex once again. Cocoon already used, but we still have Leoric on Marke in that position. Horrify being used, but Greymane goes down, nearly survives, but we have the counter kill as Chromie just bodies Hanzo.
Bunker would have saved that, but Oxaproji saving the team fight, goes in for the back line, is working in the oil, and all said and done, it's a 1-for-2 trade here as Hanzo will fall to Chromie, but Leoric and Greymane taken out by Tricked Esport, and they will take the Punisher. Here's the other main issue though. Look in the top left lane, Kaldor. The lane is pushing in, keep walls being broken down, and we constantly have the spawning of that Night Camp.
Yeah, Tricked in this mid game is showing their teeth now. They are getting the kills. 4 against 2 in favor of their opponents still, but Tricked is doing well with a Punisher. They drop the fort, they get the damage at the top lane, but Greymane has now annihilated the camp. But that was some heads-up play on the side of Tricked Esport, especially what we saw from Gul'dan here. The Horrify did not only save him, but it also made sure that they could get another kill against Leoric. So that was actually well done, because at that point, when Horrify kicked in, it started to look a little bit grim in the team fight for Tricked.
It would appear that Naka has been learning from Senpai Crosby when it comes to Gul'dan, bringing out that Horrify. Alex Proji, though, in trouble in the middle. Big arrow comes out, some damage on top of Leo. Muradin will get locked down with the root. Should be able to get out, though. It's just a Muradin. Fine for now. Black and E goes in for some combos on the back line. Will connect a couple. Here's a big temporal loop. It will be on Rimmer. He gets chunked. He gets stunned, but the Horrify to save everyone. That's just terrifying in a good way.
Yeah, that was a really heads-up Horrify that we just saw there, because that would have probably meant the end of Remaballer. But I also want to talk quickly about Muradin. Did you see how fast he got chunked down there? And we had Alex that now on level 13 has picked up the next oil spill talent. Well, Fuel Leak is basically a talent for your jet propulsion, but it drops another oil spill. So that in combo with the roots rightly after that was actually fantastic, because it set everything on fire. Then Malfurion locks Muradin down into place on it, so he takes all the damage, is slowed down, and Gul'dan drops the damage too, and all of a sudden you have like this heavy hit point in tank Muradin sitting there and nearly falling to that simple combo, even before anybody else uses an ult. So that was pretty well done there, and very scary for the front line.
Meanwhile, we're on our way to level 16 for our teams. Trick Esport has a lead, almost level 15. Remember, the 4 on the top and the bottom has been taken away. Leftovers got a little bit pushed going down on the bottom side, but Trick doesn't seem to be too worried about that. They're setting up a trap on the top side. Hanzo are even coming out just to make sure they're able to scout their opponents rotating.
Yeah, Alex now moving back to the Nexus, but the wave was pushed in. And this is one of the problems that Leftovers already had last week, that they oftentimes miss out on lane experience. And we can see that at the top lane again. If you look at the minimap, they are losing another wave or two at their own towers that were taken by Trick. So that's a pretty good situation for Trick to be in, as they're slowly edging their way forward towards 16, and that extra talent would definitely help with the next shrine. But Leftovers, they look for aggression. They look for another potential temporal loop that they can use to get ahead.
Poking here now, also earning experience by taking out this fort. That'll give them the 15. Won't fully tie them up against Trick Esport, but it is something. Nice little small prize there, while Blaze clears the bottom camp and gets 16 for Trick Esport. And with that shrine about to activate, things are getting a bit dire here for Leftovers. They need to grab their Merc camp before Trick has 16 to get invaded.
Trick also has to be careful about the temporal loop in general. They don't have a cleanse, they only have Nature's Cure on 7. So they have a lot of fantastic tools to deal with the temporal loop. Horrify, Twilight Dream, Cocoon alone can really just throw a wrench into the plans of Leftovers. But for all of that, they need to be together. So if one hero gets caught alone, there's a very high chance that he dies. So Trick needs to pay attention to where their opponent is, need to anticipate if Leftovers are hiding in the fog of war, where they could be, and always keep their backliners safely behind Blaze and behind Uber.
Leftovers actually did a good job against 16 here, so they'll be able to fight over this shrine. Trick should be able to get a slight lead. They'll take out a couple of points, but Leftovers comes up for the fight. Now, how do they intend to open up here? Will it be an entomb into a combo? Is Buccaneer just going to go ahead and drop the temporal loop early to try and force a fight on Hanzo or Gul'dan? It's all about how they get the engage here if they want to win.
Chromie's vision alone is so important here and gave them a bit of an idea as they are starting to move in. But once again, the question is, when are they going to drop the damage? When is that Leoric Entomb coming out? Again, jet propulsion on Lauber. He walks out. Muradin still good. Marke gets caught, and that could be a massive problem. Hanzo's arrow coming through. The Horrify is in as well. But we have the Divine Shield on Leoric. He's trying to push Marke even farther back, but Lauber himself is also in trouble. Cocoon comes out. Leoric escapes for now. Greymane is still in there. Jumps out barely, but Blake Kidney on Chromie still being attacked by Blaze.
And Leftovers are low. They are definitely going to be picked off here. DAB barely getting away. Lauber maybe not as lucky as Crosby. Jumps over a wall, brings up the auto take. The big jet propulsion. He and 3 members. Alex the Proji is on a rampage as he sets everything on fire.
Alex with the body blocks here, and he just burns Chromie to the ground. The witch must burn as they are moving in for the keep.
Did you just call Chromie a witch?
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
Tricked at this point with 5 kills against 4, and they're going to get an easy keep here, and that's even without the Punisher. So after they take the keep, they can move back, get the objective, and then try to make their play even 4 core if possible. They are controlling these late game fights so well. Leftovers did a great job in the early game, but once the mid game hit, they really started to struggle against the coordination out of Trick Esports.
Crosby and his Dragon Arrow, again, you called it out in the middle of the team fight. We need to highlight it again. When Make was caught with the Leoric Entomb, Crosby turns around and gets a 3-man stun on multiple members, buying time for Gul'dan to get healed up by Malfurion, and allows a root to come down so the team can turn the fight around and get the kills.
The one thing that I have to admit I missed a little bit is the Divine Shield hitting Leoric.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% certain if that Divine Shield originally was targeted towards Greymane, and then the Cocoon hits him, and so Greymane doesn't receive the Divine Shield, or if it was just the idea, if I give you Divine Shield, you're not affected by Horrify, and you can maybe get the kill against Gul'dan. But Greymane, the Cocoon against him, that was something that really helped Trick Esports in the fight.
Backline combustion, Dragon Arrow combo coming in again. Podibus low on health, but able to survive. Chromie has to time out just to survive for now. Lauber's going to be able to jump away, but a root coming just to make sure they catch the Chromie, and they will. 3 members down on Leftovers, potentially a 4th, as Leo takes the brunt of the damage on the side here, trying to prevent Trick Esports from killing the core, but all of his attempts are nigh as he finally falls. The core is the next target for Trick Esports, as they are looking to earn a 2-0 and get ready for game number 3.
Really well done here by Trick once again. A bit of a struggle in the early game for them with the Leftovers. Showed that they are definitely, that they have the tools to win a few games, but then the mid game was just too strong. The combo that we talked about during the draft on the shrines was just simply too much.
Crosby is really just becoming one of these deadly assassin players that I feel like you have to keep an eye out for. Now he has a Gul'dan and he has a Hondo in his back pocket, and obviously he plays well on other heroes as well, but he is being a premier player on these two.
Yeah, he definitely is. And I want to say that, I mean, if you look at the game and how it went, a lot of his arrows are also really helped by his teammates getting the earlier stuns in. All the CC that we've been highlighting, and especially Alex on Blaze seems to have a fantastic time.
He's having a good time. He's
Yeah,
lighting it up.
He's lighting it up. He jumps in with the jet propulsion, makes sure that he gets the stuns in. They're followed up by Malfurion roots, and then Hanzo is just sitting there like, I don't even know who to stun first. So
kill people.
It's a fantastic setup. And Mako, of course, it creates space for him on Gul'dan to drop the damage in there as well. So overall, it fixtures showing a lot of potential for Phase 1, and I'm really curious to see how well they're going to do, because we've seen them against Dignitas now we're seeing them against Left